Okay, we got Why Society Looks Down on Blue Collar Workers from your boy, Damon Cassidy. Okay, what is going on with the blue collar workers in society?
According to Deloitte, American manufacturing could face over 2 million unfilled jobs by 2030, with shortages of builders and plumbers already exceeding 500,000. Yet 76% of high school students pursue college not for better opportunities, but to avoid the stigma around vocational schooling.
I mean, shit. Oh, that was bad.
Raising the question.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'd say so. I mean, isn't the majority of blue collar work more or less manual labor? Nobody wants to do manual labor. Manual labor doesn't want to do manual labor. All right.
How did the backbone of our nation become so dismissed by society? Throughout the Industrial Revolution, advancements in manufacturing, transportation, and technology transformed the United States from a farming based economy into an industrialized powerhouse, redefining the nation's economic landscape and laying the groundwork for an emerging working class. As industrialization progressed, the growing demand for specialized skills prompted higher education to shift towards practical fields like agriculture, engineering, and mechanical arts. While these changes broadened access to education, college still remained out of reach for most working class families, who instead relied on hard work and sacrifice to achieve their vision of success.
Yeah, and the other half of that is sacrifice. He just mentioned that hard work and sacrifice. Do you think even in these like black and white videos, any of these people, guys, mostly dudes, I imagine, any of these guys thought that they were gonna be like here? Like, how old are these dudes? Like 30s, 20s, 30s, 40s? You think they want to be here? No, they're just here because it's a job and they got to put food on the table. Given the option, and let's just say, like the lottery existed back then, and you had the ability to just win the lottery, and all of a sudden you just gave these guys money, bro. You give these guys, any of these guys, a big, massive chunk of money, they're out of there. You think they're gonna accept that money and still work? No. People do this bullshit out of necessity. They have to do it. It feels like they have to do it. Like there's no other option for them to make money.
However, for those who could afford a degree, this new focus positioned them for managerial and administrative roles, establishing a hierarchical divide that continues to influence the perception of how labor is valued today. As the nation's economy expanded, American office.
I mean, depending on what level you're talking to, what's the value of labor? I mean, it depends. If you want to look at like the low level, I mean, I mean, like something like McDonald's, they need people, and it's becoming less and less now. They need people to like cook the food, to do the cashier stuff, do the window stuff, all that jazz, prepare the food, give the food out. That's more or less it, because you got the what do you call it, the AI like kiosks, or not even AI. Um, you have all the self checkout kiosks in the fast food joints, right? So there's already minus a job there. So it's becoming less and less that you don't even need labor anymore because you just get a robot to do the job. But there's also the whole fact of the H-1B visa that the United States, if they need like a high skill intensive job, it's like, oh, well, we'll just get, if there's nobody in the immediate area that we need, we're just gonna get like an H-1B visa person to come on over from some other country, uh, to come do the job, which again is still falls under the concept of you still need labor to build the thing. So I imagine, depending on the industry or the area that you live in, it just depends what the value of labor is. Like, I think The value of labor is like like labor is less valuable in a city versus like outside the city. What's it called? Like in the rural area, where there's like quote unquote no civilization, right? You have to build civilization. You need people to build buildings. You need people to put in the electrical, build plumbing, all that stuff. Make society like grow, right? Labor is valued out there, but when it comes to like an inner city where stuff is already built, got big corporate buildings, multiple stories, whatever. It's like, oh, like you still need labor, but you don't need it as much as it's needed out there to like build stuff. When stuff is built, it's easier to maintain it.
Author Horatio Alger popularized the idea that individuals could escape poverty through hard work and perseverance, selling well over 20 million copies of his novels.
I mean, and understandably, I never even thought about like labor like this, because anytime like a quote unquote normal person is like sold the idea of like manual labor or not manual labor, blue collar work versus white collar stuff, or like go to college and all that jazz. The only thing you see is, or you're sold on, is an idea. You're sold the idea of you can get yourself out of poverty. You're sold on the idea of make money for yourself and your family and whatever. You can't really see, you can't really zoom out and see like the bigger picture of like what's happening around you.
In his most famous work, Ragged Dick, a relentless bootblack squanders his earnings on gambling and drinking until a wealthy benefactor offers him a transformative opportunity, a new suit, and a job in accounting room, where he adopts the name Richard Hunter, Esquire,
Damn.
symbolizing the perceived link between appearance, occupation, and upward mobility. This new ideal influenced
Ooh.
workplace culture, where detachable white collars became a practical symbol of status, ensuring a clean,
Oh wow.
polished appearance while separating managerial and administrative workers from factory laborers. By the 1920s, mass production made collared work shirts more affordable, and marketing campaigns like the Guaranteed Work Shirt emphasized practicality and durability, offering shirts in two colors, blue and gray. Newspapers soon adopted
Mm.
these distinctions, coining the terms blue collar and white collar to
Oh
reflect the growing divide between manual labor and office based occupations.
yeah.
However, even as the social stigma against blue collar workers began to take root, their
Well, the stigma is the blue collar worker isn't smart enough to go get the higher education. It might not be it directly, but and it might not count towards you like as an individual, but like the idea is what I'm getting at. Like the idea of like a blue collar worker isn't smart enough to go get a higher education. White collar person went to go get a higher education, and now they're a manager or whatever.
contributions remained central to the nation's industrial strength. By the end of the Second World War, the United States had emerged as a global manufacturing powerhouse, with Pennsylvania alone producing more steel in 1945 than Germany and Japan combined,
Dang,
ushering in a transformative era
a lot of
in
steel.
American society. Alongside this industrial dominance, wages rose by over 60% between 1939 and 1944, while pent up consumer demand and wartime savings fueled investments in housing and infrastructure. Suburban neighborhoods rapidly expanded as factories relocated outside urban centers, and as housing costs consumed only 22% of household income. This created a robust middle class where factory workers and office managers lived side by side. Alongside this
That's
economic
crazy.
expansion, the GI Bill, introduced by FDR,
I mean, isn't that's? I mean, I can't really see like much besides like what's outside my city or like my like immediate area that I live in, right? I mean, if I compare like an entry level, like I don't know, associate, whatever, crew member, something to like a manager, shift manager, whatever, it's still more or less like that. But that's like extremely generalized. Like now you have like crew member, like manager, assistant manager, then you got like district manager, um, regional manager, and whatever else is above that.
revolutionized access to higher education by providing millions of returning veterans with tuition support and living expenses, with over 7.8 million veterans utilizing the program by 1956. This transformation, amplified by the Cold War tensions following the Soviet Union's launch of Sputnik in 1957, reframed higher education as essential for creating skilled workers to support the Cold War economy and as a tool to showcase the intellectual and scientific superiority of democracy over communism. The National Defense Education Act of 1958 provided federal funding to strengthen education in science, mathematics, and foreign languages, further solidifying the government's emphasis on academic and technological progress. However, this growing focus on higher education, particularly a college degree, began completely reshaping the societal perception of labor and traditional career paths. Vocational schooling.
Yeah, because while that higher educate, I would say that the higher education cap on just, I don't know, technology or just understanding can constantly get bigger. You look at blue collar work, and then maybe it can go up a little bit, but not as much. Like you can find like a more efficient way to like do some plumbing or electrical or mechanics, whatever. I mean, at the end of the day, construction is still construction, right? Instead of like hammering a nail in, you use a nail gun, but you're still a construction worker.
Once vital for training skilled workers in industrial and manual trades, became increasingly overshadowed by a cultural narrative that equated college degrees with success. Blue collar workers, once respected for their essential contributions, were now viewed as intellectually inferior to their white collar counterparts.
And listen to how he like phrases that again.
Workers in industrial and manual trades became increasingly overshadowed by a cultural narrative
Hmm.
that equated college degrees with success.
College degrees equate to success. So what's the inverse of that? If you don't have a college degree, you are a failure.
Blue collar workers, once respected for their essential contributions,
Essential contributions. Blue collar work was essential.
were now viewed as intellectually inferior to their white collar counterparts, eroding the dignity of their labor and deterring younger generations from pursuing trade careers.
You might be the special snowflake that has pride in your job as a blue collar person, and that's great, fine and dandy, but that is not the majority of people that do blue collar work. They're probably dreading to go to their job. Maybe not dread, but they're just like tolerant enough of it to go to it.
However, even as societal perceptions increasingly favored white collar careers, many US companies still remain committed to investing in their workforce through strategies centered on vertical integration and internal mobility. Leading up to the 1970s, major US corporations adhered to a retain and reinvest approach, reinvesting earnings into their employees to drive competitiveness and stable economic growth. This model emphasized internal promotions,
Mm,
with entry level positions serving as a critical pathway to upward mobility. Manufacturing stood at
that was nice. That was nice when everything was you gotta, in order to go up, you have to be on the inside. You can't just willy nilly flip flop from business to business, which is what we see nowadays, right? With all the big businesses. One CEO just retire or not retires, but they just stop working for this company only to work for another company at the same level, only to work at another company at the same level. And yeah, that's pretty much it.
the core of this system, employing 38% of the non farm labor force during the war and 30%.
You know what's funny? I just realized this. As much as a brick in the wall that the perception is that the, like the entry level people have, of like the bottom positions, it is becoming a more and more trend or apparent trend of even if you're at the tippy top of like a company, you're still just a brick in the wall. You could easily just leave your company and just go out to go to some other company within the industry, and not even within the industry. You could go to some other industry and be the CEO of that company. That's the trend I see. So regardless of where you're at, you're just a brick in the wall.
percent thereafter, solidifying its role in building a robust middle class. Yet, as globalization began reshaping the corporate landscape, this commitment began to erode, and by the late 1970s, corporations embraced a downsize and distribute model, prioritizing cost cutting and redirecting profits to shareholders. The shift culminated in 1982 under Reagan's presidency, when the SEC adopted Rule 10b 18, effectively legalizing stock buybacks and shielding companies from accusations of market manipulation. Between
Oh,
2003 and 2012, S&P 500 companies allocated 54% of their earnings, or $2.4 trillion, to stock buybacks, and another
dang.
37% to dividends, leaving minimal resources for workforce investment or innovation. And as manufacturing jobs dwindled, media
Yep,
portrayals
there's the loophole. That was the loophole right there.
and cultural narratives further diminished the value of blue collar work. A 1971 federal report, Work in America, starkly highlighted the absence of positive representations of working class roles, a sharp contrast to the 1930s when such jobs were depicted as noble and essential to society. By the 1970s, fewer than 1 in 10 television characters represented blue collar workers, and those who did were often portrayed as crude, uneducated, or socially undesirable.
Yeah, like the whole Homer Simpson thing. Homer Simpson was a I forgot his actual job title, but it's something like nuclear engineer or nuclear technologist or something. He's got a white collar on. Was Homer a white collar worker? Never really saw him do like work. Bro, that's so crazy to think about it like that. The Simpsons of like Homer being the quintessential lazy white collar person has the easiest job in the world of just like monitoring like equipment, but he's monitoring like nuclear stuff.
Advertisements compounded this disconnect, showcasing products that many workers couldn't afford, fostering frustration as stagnating wages left aspirations out of reach.
TV respects me. It laughs with me, not at me.
You stupid.
Assistant Labor Secretary Jerome Razab points out that the American working man has lost relative class status with the growth of higher education. All blue collar workers, skilled or not, have been denigrated so badly, so harshly, that their jobs have become a last resort instead of decent, respected careers.
Oh, that is so true, man. The blue collar worker, the trades like plumbing, electric, mechanics, what else? The trades like police, fire, EMS, the trades, like construction. Those are the last resort jobs that nobody wants. Bro, he is so true.
Fathers hesitate and even apologize for their occupation instead of holding it up as an aspiration for their own.
Fathers hesitate and even apologize. I'm so sorry. I couldn't do better. This is all I could do. Bro, because like I think back about like what my dad did. Like there was an instance where my dad like he owned a restaurant and he wasn't the best at speaking. Like he was Italian, so he could speak English fine ish, but he would get very frustrated with people, and I forgot why, but more or less, my dad ended up wearing like a lot of hats when he owned his restaurants or his restaurant, from when I was a little kid. He was like the head chef, or he. Anytime I talk to him about it, he's like, Cornell, I was never a chef. I was just a cook. Right? He held chefs to a higher standard than the word cook. He always just considered himself a cook, which is hilarious. He had an Italian restaurant, right? Like spaghetti, pizza, spaghetti, stuff like that. Italian shit. He had some baller ass fucking pizza though. Oh my god. Um, but yeah, he wore a lot of hats. He did a lot of work in the kitchen all the time. And when I was a little kid, I didn't realize how much he like drank and smoked. Um, yeah, and just going back and talking to him about that, it's like, Jesus Christ, I'm so sorry, Dad.
Sons. This erosion of respect for blue collar work also infiltrated the education system, where vocational programs like shop class were increasingly dismissed as outdated and reserved for troubled students or those deemed unfit for college. This shift gained momentum.
The trades.
With the 1983 A Nation at Risk report, which warned of a rising tide of mediocrity in public education and prioritized academic reforms over technical training. Simultaneously, the decline of labor unions further dismantled blue-collar job security and career pathways. Once representing over 30% of the private workforce, union membership fell steadily as corporations and policymakers undermined collective bargaining rights. Specifically in 1981,
so there's less unions and less, what was it? Less share and less income. So income and union strength is just down.
And policymakers undermined collective bargaining rights. Specifically in 1981, as the Reagan administration fired 11,000 striking air traffic controllers and then banned them from federal service for life, sending a national message that resulted in eroding wages, benefits, and critical infrastructure like apprenticeships. Between 2000,
that's crazy. But what I said earlier is still true. When you see the degradation of like the lower class and how gear in the machine it feels, it'll only trickle up in that aspect, because more and more people are just hanging around at their job. They get their promotion from literal just survivorship bias in whatever way. And then whatever happens, they can retire. And then if they want to work again, they could just go to some other business, whatever it is, just be like, hey, this is my experience. And then as they're talking to like the hiring person or what do you call it? Like the top, another top person, they're like, hey, do you want this other position like right below me? It's like, oh yeah, sure. So it's just the trend is the middle management and the upper management and is also receiving that vibe of you're just a gear in the machine.
In 2013, apprenticeship programs have declined by 40%, hindered by their association with unionized industries like construction. As systemic shifts diminished opportunities for vocational and blue-collar careers, the broader economic landscape compounded these challenges. The national decline of manufacturing stripped away a cornerstone of middle-class stability, with nearly
taking away manufacturing jobs. Yeah, I mean, because saw that video of like, would you want America to bring back manufacturing jobs? Everyone says yes. But then, do you want to be a manufacturer and have a manufacturing job? Everyone says no. So it's like a yes, we want it back, but I don't want to do it because it's a piece of shit job. Manufacturing parts. It is. It sucks ass. What do you want?
6 million U.S. manufacturing jobs disappearing between 2000 and 2010. Manufacturing's share of GDP also fell from 27% in 1965 to just 12%.
Wait, is everybody's manufacturing going down? GDP. Okay, so Japan down, U.S. down, Finland down, like everything down.
by 2010, reflecting systemic neglect. Meanwhile, the 2008 financial crisis, centered around the housing market,
Yeah.
further disrupted any recovery efforts. From 2010 to 2020, new construction rates lagged behind population growth, resulting in a shortage of 1.5 million homes and over 500,000 construction workers. Policymakers and corporations frame these shifts as inevitable, treating manufacturing like agriculture, a sector they assumed could thrive through automation with fewer workers.
Oh yeah. Because farmers are just like chomping at the bit to like not hire people, right? They are. They'd rather, even the farmers would rather hire a damn robot than a person.
However, this view underestimated manufacturing's critical role in sustaining middle class incomes and economic mobility. For example, Germany demonstrated that high wages and robust public policies can maintain a competitive manufacturing sector. By contrast, the US pursued cost cutting strategies and embraced globalization, paving the way for China's rise as a manufacturing superpower. Between 2000 and 2011, China's share of global manufacturing output rose from 5.7% to 19.8%,
Jesus.
surpassing the United States and cementing its dominance. And as
That's
the median
insane.
age of American homes is now exceeding 40 years and labor shortages worsening across trade industries,
Yeah.
the nation faces compounding consequences to decades of neglect towards vocational pathways. This challenge is further intensified by an aging labor force, as more than 1 in 5 construction
The aging labor force. So like everybody that knows how to do the job is getting too old to do the job anymore, but they're not having like enough new people come in and learn the job. So it's like, oh shit, who are we gonna get to build this shit?
workers are now 55 years or older, with the retirement signaling not only a loss of workers, but also irreplaceable expertise that industries depend on to train the next generation.
Yeah, OSHA? OSHA? What OSHA?
And at the same time, cultural stigmas and educational priorities have steered younger generations away from trade careers, where 61% of Gen Z report that their parents never discussed vocational schooling or actively discouraged it.
Oh yeah. I mean, if I had a kid, I would not want them to do fucking blue collar bullshit. Fuck that noise. Fuck that.
While schools have prioritized funneling students into four-year degree programs, largely ignoring the opportunities vocational training offers, where only 17% of Gen Z say they were informed about the benefits of trade careers, reflecting an educational system increasingly focused on college readiness at the expense of practical marketable skills.
Yeah, because no one cares about practical marketing skills. Like, what'd he say?
Reflecting an educational system increasingly focused on college readiness at the expense of practical marketable skills.
Yeah, nobody cares if you can hammer in a nail for like working at McDonald's. Nobody cares if you can like repair something. All the businesses have a repair guy that they call whenever a machine breaks down. Oh, the tile's broken? Oh, we'll just call maintenance. Oh, the computer's broken? Oh, we'll call IT. Oh, the ice cream machine's broken? Oh, we'll call the ice cream machine place. Yeah, nobody cares.
And as we begin to conclude,
Nobody cares. Just put the fries in the bag, dude.
there's a couple different reasons why I wanted to make this video. The main one was I wanted to show the many different components into why the United States turned its back on the very people that built this nation. And as a result, as members of society, well, we then turn our back on the very people building our nation. When you look throughout history, what dominates the textbooks, the headlines, the social intercourse, is discussion about the inventor, the invention,
Yeah.
the political leader,
Yeah.
the catastrophe, the triumph.
Yeah. In the books that you're learning, it's never about, oh, well, this random guy learned this entire system on how to be like a good plumber really quick. It's never about like regular guy learning how to be a plumber. It's like the inventor of the thing has his name in the book. The notable people, like the people that are notable have like college degrees and shit. Like seldom. There's probably like examples of people just inventing shit that never went to college or higher education, but that is becoming less and less of a thing. If you want to invent something, you got to go to school to learn how to invent something. All the STEM fields and whatnot.
The technological disruption, the all of these different components. And what we fail to ever recognize is that someone had to build it. We ignore the working class. We ignore the common person. We don't tip our cap. We don't respect that these things were built with somebody's hands. There was somebody in a factory for 13 hours a day in conditions we couldn't imagine
Yeah.
to get wages we couldn't comprehend.
I mean, you could, anytime I tell stuff like people I used to work at like Cece's Pizza, and like most of the time you're just sitting behind the oven, or not behind, but like, the oven's pushed up against the wall and you got like a feeder side and a receiver side. And like, I'm sitting there receiving pizzas and cutting them. And I tell them how fucking hot it was. It's like, oh, that must be really hot back there. I could never do that. Blah, blah, blah. It's like, shut the fuck up. You fucking bitch. It's so insulting. Like, oh, I could never do that. That's so hard. Oh, my life is so easy. I had everything handed to me. Oh, wow. Meanwhile, like almost every person out here is like going through like some whatever bullshit at their job. Like, and of course not. Of course nobody knows what it's like.
And that is what paved the society that we live in today. That's what allowed us to have so many of these modern day luxuries that we frankly take advantage of.
Mm-hmm.
As a result of us not only respecting someone that doesn't fit in the societal norm, we're forgetting, or we're not comprehending the fact that we have to have those people, that we have to have people filling those roles.
Yes and no. Yes, because okay, so yes, because people would like to argue that like the blue collar jobs and all that stuff is not like high skill. But it is. It is high skill. If it wasn't high skill, why hasn't Boston Dynamics figured out a way to make their robots take over all of the blue collar jobs? Well, it's because it's kind of hard to replicate those things. Why is it hard to replicate those things? Because it's a high skill situation. Okay, the shit that all the blue collar shit, the physical precision that a human can enact on the environment is actually kind of hard to replicate and have a robot take over their job. Turns out. So all this bullshit I hear about, blue collar ain't high skill, blah blah blah. Really? Sell me.
And that there should be pride in that. That instead of some sort of winter storm happening and I'm inside my nice cozy home and the electricity goes out, that I now spend the next couple hours looking outside the window, just furious that the people haven't fixed it already, that the electricians haven't fixed it already. Instead of being grateful that they are potentially risking their lives, they are away from their family. They are doing everything they can to fix probably the most complex problem that none of us could ever even comprehend.
Oh, yeah. Everybody starts losing their mind when the rainstorm happens and the power gets knocked out. Internet goes down. No one knows what the fuck to do. They don't got any books or anything, or like a flashlight or a candle or something to just read in the dark or something, Everyone gets absolutely anxious. Literal hive-inducing anxiety about the power, electricity, and the internet. It's hilarious to watch.
We have to begin understanding that The things that we take advantage of each and every day truly are a luxury and are absolutely not guaranteed. The electrical grid we have is going to fail if we do not make improvements on it. The homes that we have are not going to be able to just build themselves. We need more homes, and we continuously look toward.
I mean, they got a robot for that, though. They got that robot that's building the 3D printed homes. I mean, yeah, you still need people to set up the 3D printer or whatever, but yeah, they're taking that one too.
Towards the government as if they're just going to make everything better. We have to begin using our voice. We have to begin saying, you know what? A college degree doesn't guarantee success.
No, it
It
doesn't.
never has, but I continuously just keep force feeding that into my life.
But does going into blue collar guarantee success either? Going into blue collar guarantees you a paycheck more or less. I mean, getting blue or white collar doesn't really like guarantee your happiness, your fulfillment, or a paycheck even. But the vibe I get is that you can gamble on trying to get like a white collar job, and if something doesn't work out for whatever reason, then there's a fallback of a blue collar, whatever.
There's a whole nother world just ripe with possibilities. If I can just look past the stigma, I could potentially not only change my life, but
I mean, well, stigmas and stereotypes exist for a reason, right? Usually because they're true, right?
generations to come. That is the kind of opportunity that we have. And no, I'm not saying everyone just go into the trades, to go into vocational schooling, to become a blue collar worker. But there has to be balance. One of the things that I saw the most.
Why should there be balance? What kind of balance is good balance? And why should I have to go into the trades when other people did not? Oh, simply because they somehow got lucky?
With my last video, at least, about why Gen Z or why employers dislike Gen Z, was a common theme of young individuals saying, I wanted to be a plumber, a welder, a carpenter, you name it. But my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my friends, my community, my church.
Bro, I don't know no Gen Z person saying, I want to go into the trades.
Said, go to college. So I did. And so now I have a college degree. I can't find a job, and I'm trying to work retail or work at a fast food company.
Until I can find that job where I got my degree at.
There has to come a point that we begin to realize this common narrative doesn't work, that the societal promise is failing us. It is now a lie. It works in certain regards, but we can't just trust something with everything that we have and not maybe listen to our intuition of maybe I should be a welder. Maybe I should go do something. Yeah, I never was able to operate well in school, but I love to build something with my hands. There's another path out there for you. And I want to say it's not too late. You can still change the course that you're on in your life. Lastly, this video is kind of I want to just acknowledge, tip my cap to my parents. Two stories, two people that have impacted my life to where I am today is my mom and dad. My mom wanted to become
Oh, congrats. You have a relationship with your dad.
a hairstylist when she was graduating high school. Her dad said, no, you're going to go to college. And she said, no, I'm going to become a hairstylist. And her dad like threw her $100 or something and said, practically, you're going to fail. But I want you to know that I'll be here when you fail. Well, she's been able to put a roof over her head, clothes on our back, and food in my belly for my entire life with a successful hair salon here in Austin, Texas. The late nights, all of the things that
I am so And this isn't a dig at Damien, is it? At Damon, this isn't a dig. Why is it almost every fucking YouTube I watch, everybody lives in fucking Austin? What the fuck?
she's had to go through to be able to do so is incredibly motivating. And and then I look at my dad, grew up on a farm, wanted to build something with his hands, as clear as day. Reads a book and learns about the cowboy code, about being honorable, being respectful, speaking your truth. Goes and works at an architectural firm, realizes that's not for him, sees that people aren't respecting the actual people building the things. So he goes and becomes a master carpenter. And what I see with especially in the summers where I was right there with my dad, sweating in the hot Texas summers, was that you do everything that you can for your word, providing service for another. And that is your job. That is why you are here on earth. I saw that from both of my parents. Do your best, provide service to others, provide value, and do something that doesn't corrupt your soul.
Yeah, that soul corrupting part. Yeah, you're lucky if that doesn't happen. That's like a 1% thing. And yeah, your soul. I never heard it described like that, but I always thought about it as like your personality changes and it warps in a like a very negative way. But that sounds more preachy. Soul corrupting. Yeah, that's the norm. It's normal for your soul to get corrupted. And the faster you accept that, the easier it will be to accept whatever fate that your life is.
I then go into banking, the complete opposite of what my parents were mentioning. I realized quite quickly that that is a soul corrupting job.
Name me a job that isn't soul corrupting. And then I will name you 50 people, 100 people in that job that you named that would say otherwise.
I leave. Now I get the same societal rebuttal of the decision that I made. Can't believe that you're doing this. People won't talk to me now. All of these different things because I gave up a almost six-figure job to then make a YouTube channel with 500 subscribers at that time.
Mm-hmm.
But I believed that I could do it. And this isn't blue collar, but what I'm trying to say is that if you live a life in service for others and you go out and you find ways to network, you find ways to provide value to someone else, to get a little sliver of their time, you go ask a master welder, plumber, you name it, can I just spend some time with you? Can I help you?
Hey, Mr. CEO, can I spend some time with you so that way I too can be a CEO of like a Fortune 500 company? Can I do that?
will fetch whatever it is that you need. I will do whatever I can. I just want to learn from you. You will have a successful career. One of the greatest gifts that I had was the first job that I worked was actually at the local garbage company in my area. My stepdad is a retired Houston.
Hey, Jeff Bezos, can I spend like a day with you to learn what you do every day? Hey, Elon Musk, can I learn what to do with what I should do with my life? Hey, who's like the Facebook bro? Mark Zuckerberg. Can I just like shadow you for like a day to see what you do? So that I too one day can be like a billionaire.
Firefighter and a combat firefighter from Iraq. He was the garbage truck driver. So I would go there and I would just throw the trash in, whatever it was that I was doing.
I bet that was fun for like a day or a week. Those guys that you learn from, they do that shit every day. You think their soul isn't corrupted?
The greatest gift that I saw was the disgust that people had when they looked at me. And I realized This is not how life should be.
No
Because
shit.
the job that I'm doing does not make me
Life's not ideal.
better or less than somebody else. If you have a college degree, or if you don't have a college degree, if you're making $50,000 in an office, $50,000 doing you're shoveling, moving a wheelbarrow or whatever, you're not better or worse.
One is easier, though. And what I see around me is that people are less and less willing to do manual labor. Manual labor is mostly a blue collar thing. And people don't want to put their health and their body at risk anymore. They just don't.
Do what provides value to you in service of others. Do your best. And we have to, as a society, I will continuously say this over and over and over and over again, we have to come together because the government isn't going to.
We have to come together as society. You know who else in society? The fucking tippity top 1%. As soon as the 1% comes together, I will come together. Until then, no.
Just have manufacturing jobs just come back if we don't say they have to come back. The electrical grid isn't going to just improve, hey, everything's better, unless we say it has to improve. If we stop going to college and we start becoming electricians and we start creating companies to fix the grid on our own.
Doubt, even though that's a hyperbolic example, I know.
Things are going to change. We have the power to make a change. But if we continuously just are mindlessly moving through our life, listening to the false lie, nothing is going to happen. And just never judge somebody based off of the job, based off of the collar that they have.
So realize what is actually the truth. Take what he just said and say the reverse.
Listening to the false lie, nothing is going to happen.
Okay, right here. Listen. What do you think is the actual truth?
And just never judge somebody based off of the job, based off of the collar that they have.
Always base somebody off of their job. Always judge somebody based off of the collar. Because whatever your assumptions are, they're probably true. They just are, for the most part. Yeah, you can have like some outliers where it bucks the trend, but why do stereotypes exist? Because they're mostly true.
It's disgusting, and it's not the right thing to do. With that being said, thank you all so much for your time. I hope this was able to provide some value to you. Until next time, bye-bye.
I created this monster, and I've got to stop him. See what I mean, Patrick?
Where's the leak, ma'am?
Go back.
According to Deloitte,
Good video. I like it. What's the vibe? The blue collar workers make it possible for other people to have a white collar job. Yeah, that is true. That is true. You can't white collar the air unless the blue collar is there first. Guys, remember when we were essential for like 2 years? Oh, that's funny. Blue collar workers don't deserve a high wage for useless garbage like construction work or machine operator. Ooh, let me hear. Instead, they should do something more valuable, like sitting in here it is, in Zoom meetings all day in an office cubicle right after getting yelled at by Ed from payroll. Now, if these are the two hyperbolic examples that this person has, slinging garbage or construction or sitting in Zoom call, and let's just say those are actual situations that exist, which they are, and you give someone the option to choose between those two situations, what do you think a person would choose? Really? Of course people are going to choose to sit in a a fucking Zoom meeting all day in AC. Even if Ed yells at him, who gives a shit? Versus I'd rather do a lifetime of Zoom meeting calls versus a lifetime of garbage and construction. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you kidding me? Whatever. Overall, very good video. Love it. Keep them coming, man. Baller. But okay, that's pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, later.